What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Friday's episode of Murph's Boston Sports Talk, episode number 131. Hopefully you had a fantastic week and you plan on having a fantastic weekend. The weather has been surprisingly nice. I know there's supposed to be a little bit of snow, a little bit of rain, and a little bit of chilliness. But we're starting to get some warmer days, upper 40s, 50s. I think we touched low 60s one day this week. So spring and nice weather is on the horizon. And I cannot be any more excited. To help tone down that excitement, I must remind you that today is the last episode of Murph's Boston Sports Talk Season 1. Season 1, last episode. Season 2, as you may know, will kick off. Sorry, I'm trying to drink water and finish chewing. I'm very behind today. I'm recording at 11:25, and I want to try to give you guys a half hour, 40-minute episode, and I got to try to jam as much info as I can. But April 1st is the return of Murph's Boston Sports Talk Season 2. Yeah, April 1st, haha, April Fools. No. It is no April Fool's joke. It is legitimate. April 1st. Obviously, I just kind of want to pump the brakes a little bit. We've covered a ton of football. We did cover a ton of baseball when it was in season, and basketball and hockey accordingly. Just want to kind of let the podcast breathe a little bit, give myself a small little rest because I've been doing this for 13 straight months. So I think a nice little break would be nice. And also, it gives me a little bit of time to recharge the battery so I can come full force when Season 2 kicks off. So as I promised, I will be talking about all 4 of the major sports teams here in Boston. Obviously, baseball will be more about the lockout than the Red Sox themselves. But the Bruins, the Celtics, and of course the Patriots. Let's dive into baseball first because I feel like that's going to be the quickest conversation that we have, which I wish it wasn't, but it probably will be. The players and the owners met on the 17th, I believe. Yesterday. And the meeting was 15 minutes. 15 minutes long. Now, obviously, during a lockout where the owners and the players can't decide on this or that, with this and that, you would think it'd be longer than 15 minutes. Yeah, you're damn right. I would too. But it wasn't. 15 minutes. Let's see. This article is written by Ken Davidoff from the NewYorkPost.com, titled MLB Lockout Talks Reach New Low with 15-minute Meeting as Opening Day Doomsday Looms. I'm not going to read the full article, but I do want to kind of highlight a few points that he talked about in the article. A quote from Mets Luis Guillermo tweeted, "I'm pretty sure I've had at-bats longer than this meeting because on Thursday we were able to be provided a beautiful scene outside, much less so inside the MLB Players Association Manhattan headquarters, where the collective bargaining session lasted merely 15 minutes. Yeah, at-bats have been longer than that meeting. Obviously, you get a nice little 12, 13 pitch at-bat or so. Yeah, probably around a 15-minute because pitchers and just take so long. Anyways. Let's see. This is the first. The scoreboard now reads 6 meetings, 5 in person since Rob Manfred locked out the players on December 2nd. The first one, notably not occurring until January 13th, and the two sides still stand so far apart that with spring training already delayed, the idea of holding opening day on the scheduled March 31st seems more ludicrous with each counter proposal. I will give both sides credit. Since January 13th, when they've met first, I will give each side props for meeting 6 times, right? I mean, 6 times in just over a month or so. That's, average 2 meetings a week. So I will give them credit. But it's not good enough. It's clearly not good enough because we're getting absolutely nowhere. The MLB Players Association has offered to meet every day next week, with February 28th the obvious deadline to get a deal done in time. And multiple sources confirmed an ESPN report that players and owners will fly in with the intention of meeting regularly. Whether that frequency and the urgency led to more fruitful discussions remain to be seen. Nevertheless, it's increasingly obvious what needs to break this stalemate. I believe Rob Manfred came out yesterday as well. I think it was before the meeting, maybe after. I'm not exactly sure. That in order to preserve a 162 game regular season, a deal between the union and the owners need to get done before February 28th. That is Monday. That is literally 9 days, right? Yeah, give or take 9 days. If a deal's not done by then March 31st is going to get delayed. Opening day will get delayed. 162 could either be pushed back, where we're playing into November, but Rob Manfred has already said that he doesn't want to play into mid-November. So 162 will get chopped down. And when are we going to see the start of baseball? May 1st? June 1st? It's just so many questions that are still looming. And it's all for the major issues, the luxury tax, getting younger players paid sooner, arbitration, the tanking phenomenon. What do you do with that in terms of draft select, like spots where you're drafting? It's just so irritating. Oh, and then on top of that, the postseason format. Like, can we put that on the back burner? Do we really need to go from 6 to 7? Is that really going to halt things in terms of figuring out the CBA? Like, can the postseason in the playoffs be the last talking point that we get to once everything else is decided? Can we then talk about postseason instead of, it being on the forefront, which apparently it kind of seems like it is, right behind the luxury tax and getting younger players paid? It feels like they're worrying about how many teams are going to be in the postseason rather than trying to stop other teams from tanking. Like, I don't care if there's 6 or 7. Like, let's figure that out another day, another time in life. So, my thoughts, my exiting thoughts on the lockout until April 1st, where hopefully we have a season. And obviously, I will still be posting online, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, updates about the lockout, my thoughts about said lockout, and hopefully when the lockout is over. But right now, as I sit, with today being the last episode of season 1 for Murph's Boston Sports Talk, I just don't know. Obviously, 28th, we finally have a deadline when spring training needs to start and when the lockout can end. That is the time. That is the day. Do I think we will get somewhere between now and then? The optimistic side of me says I hope, and I think we will. With the players and the owners going to meet every day next week, you would think that those recurring meetings and those regular meetings will amount to something. But when yesterday you had a 15-minute meeting, it's just hard for me to believe that. I'm going to be optimistic, and I want to be excited for baseball. And I'm going to say they will get it done. But I'm not confident in that. That's just optimism and hope. But in terms of confidence and what I realistically believe in, I don't think we'll get it done. I don't think so. So we'll just have to wait and see. We will just have to wait and see. I hope baseball doesn't get delayed. I hope we get 162. Hopefully we can get something figured out before the 28th of February where there could be a delay. Because come the 28th, if there's nothing, we're going to see 162 delayed. We're going to see baseball in a lockout further than it already has been. And the sport is struggling as it is. Yeah, ratings were nice last year and in 2020. Fantastic. But that's still covering the bigger issue in baseball. Yeah, we saw an uptick in women watching baseball. We've seen an uptick in younger kids watching baseball. And last year, it was nice to have a full 162 season after a 60-game regular season in 2020. So people were starving for baseball. There wasn't basketball, there wasn't hockey, there wasn't football going on in the middle of summer. The playoffs were nice. They were exciting the way that they were. But it's still struggling behind football, hockey. I don't know where basketball ranks, now, because I know people have their own issue with basketball. But baseball is taking a back seat compared to some of these other sports. And if this lockout proceeds any longer than the 28th of February, then those casual fans will be impacted. Now, I don't know if you're a casual fan or not. I'm a hardcore fan. I'm a diehard. I will watch baseball regardless, as regardless of a wild situation as the lockout has been, and as infuriating as the lockout has been. Whenever baseball returns, whether it's March 31st for Game 1 of 162, May 1st of Game 1 of 140, I don't know. I will be there. But the casual fan may not be there. And baseball will lose casual fans because it is a hard sport to sit down, watch, and get into. There's a lot of players to know. There's a long season. Games are 3+ hours long. So it's very difficult. It's not like where it's football, where it's just one game a Sunday. Basketball, where it's rather quick pace. Hockey is very quick paced. So baseball needs to figure this out before the 28th of February. Will they get it done? I don't know, but let me know. Do you think they will get it done? Whose side are you on, the players or the owners? I want to hear your thoughts and opinions about this because you guys have heard mine for a very, very long time. I guess that was pretty good timing by Kim, who just called me in the middle of recording. So I guess that's a sign that I need to stop ranting about baseball and just kind of switch and pivot to, let's talk about the Bruins in hockey, shall we? Last night, they lost 4-1 to the New York Islanders. 3 goals in the third period. That's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. They were tied 1-1 entering the third, and they just couldn't rebound. They just couldn't figure it out. And the Bruins have been playing mediocre as of late. They had a hot June, but they've kind of sizzled out since then. Am I surprised? I don't want to say that I am, but they kind of have a little bit. Bruins are still the second wild card, and they're 7 points behind the Capitals. They're 6 points above the Red Wings. They need to do something. I don't know how else to explain it. They're 9 points behind the Maple Leafs in the Eastern Conference for the number 3 seed in the not the Eastern Conference, the Atlantic Division. Pardon me. Got to switch sports here. Hockey's a little bit different, so I just got to gear things accordingly. I mean, I feel like I've been saying this for a very long time now. The Bruins need to get some help. They need another center. They need a top 4 defenseman. Obviously, with Tuukka Rask now retired, you lost that veteran goalie that I've been harping and hounding and that they needed. One thing that really kills the Bruins, and I know I've talked about this plenty of times, is the 17 regulation losses. Last night was one of them. The teams ahead of them in both the Atlantic and the Metropolitan Division, the Panthers, the Lightning, the Leafs, and then the Penguins, the Hurricanes, Rangers, and Capitals. They all have 10, 11, 12, 12, 11, 13, 15 losses, whereas the Bruins have 17. That is a massive gap. Obviously, those other teams are racking up wins. Those other teams are collecting overtime losses where there's 5, 6, 3, 8, 4, 5, 9, and you have 4. I mean, overtime losses count as a point. Obviously, wins count as 2, and a loss counts as nothing. But the thing that's eye-gashing me, completely just sucking the life out of me, is the goal differential. Again, in order, plus 56, plus 30, plus 45, plus 34, plus 51, plus 23. Capitals plus 26. Bruins plus 1. Every other team in the Eastern Conference is in the negatives. As they should be because they're not in the playoff picture, but you are. At a plus 1 goal differential, either you need to score more goals or you need to stop giving goals up. And if you look at goals for in the Eastern Conference, you are nowhere near the top. Absolutely nowhere near the top. You are behind the Panthers, Leafs, Lightning, Capitals, Penguins, Hurricanes, Blue Jackets, Red Wings, and the New Jersey Devils. The New Jersey Devils of all teams, who are 17, 28, and 5 with 39 points, have scored more goals than you. Like, come on. And when you look at goals against, it's actually pretty. Hold on. This doesn't look right. Hold on. Let's go to league. No, let's go to conference. I'm trying to figure this out on the fly. They are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th behind the Hurricanes, Islanders, Leafs, Rangers, and Penguins. So your goals against is seemingly not bad. You're 6th in the Eastern Conference. I don't know about the league. I don't really care about the league in the Western Conference. All I care about right now is the Eastern Conference. And you're 6th. Meanwhile, you're towards the bottom of the pack where you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th. In the Eastern Conference, out of 32 teams, you are, or I should say out of 16 teams in the Eastern Conference, you are 11th. 11th. Like, come on. What are we doing? Obviously, it's easier said than done to put the puck in the net, but when you're playing against a team such as the Islanders, who are nowhere near contention right now for a playoff spot, as they're the second, actually, hold on. Let me get this organized by points again. Where they're 42 points, should be well out of the picture. Drop 4 goals on you, and you score 1. Whereas the Islanders have given up 123 goals all season. So it is all not terrible. But 109 is towards the bottom of the Eastern Conference, and you give up a 4 spot. 3-5-2 in the last 10 games for the Bruins is not going to cut it. This conference is too good. Again, I do not care about the Western Conference at all. I don't care about how good the Avalanche are, where they have a league-leading 74 points. I don't care. Poor Kraken. They're down at the bottom, 16, 30, and 4. They only got 36 points, but it's their first year. Got to give them credit. So I don't care. I don't care about the West. But the Bruins need to get goal scoring. It seems like that's been a problem for numerous years now. Last year was a problem. You brought in Taylor Hall. That helped significantly. That helped. Is there another Taylor Hall out there? I don't know. I keep hearing Connor Garland's name being brought up from Arizona Coyotes. Is he going to help? Absolutely. But what are you going to have to do to? What are you going to have to give up to get him? And actually, no. I think the trade deadline's in March. NHL. Oh, it's in March, so we're not even going to get a chance to talk about it. But there's tons of options out there. Let's see. There's an article on NBC Boston real quick. Where Bruins stand in NHL playoff race as deadline appears. They're 4th in the Atlantic Division. They're 2nd in the wild card, like I've already mentioned. It's tough. Patrice Bergeron is out with a concussion right now. Is he going to be back next year? I honestly really don't care about next year right now. But it is a question you got to consider. It is something you have to consider. Because are the Bruins going to make moves for this year and try to give you a playoff push this year? Or are they just going to kind of see the teams ahead of them where they're clearly better and just kind of pack it in and be like, let's just, brace for next year and hope we can be better next year? Yeah, you're a playoff team now. But do you want to be out in the first round, in the second round, when you have Stanley Cup aspirations? Or are they just going to sit and kind of muddle in the middle for this year, maybe next year and the year after that? All I know is this trade deadline will be very, very telling for the Bruins. What they do at this deadline will determine the future of this team, not only for the rest of this year, but next year as well. Hopefully the Bruins can make a big splash and really try to come back up the ranks in the Eastern Conference, whether it's in the wild card or in the Atlantic Division, because it's still there. It's still on the cusp. You're still there. But the biggest thing that separates the Bruins from the other teams in the Atlantic is no longer there, and that was games played. Bruins currently have 48 games played. The Panthers have 48, the Lightning have 49, and the Maple Leafs have 47. Beforehand, you'd be down like 6, 7, 8 points behind them, but you played 4 or 5 less games than them. Hypothetically speaking, you win 4 or 5 of those games, you're able to vault up into the standings. Where the games have leveled out, you don't have that luxury anymore. You're still 4 games behind the Capitals, who are 7 points ahead of you. So theoretically, if you win the difference in those games, you get 8 points. You'll vault them for the number 1 wildcard spot. Bruins, they're tough. I mean, they have, I've said this for a long time, they have the best chance to win here in Boston. They do. We saw what happened with the Patriots, and no one really expected the Patriots to win the Super Bowl this year. People expected the Red Sox to be kind of in the middle of the pack, maybe do better than 2020, obviously do better than 2020, but no one thought they would reach the American League Championship Series. Celtics, they just keep shooting themselves in the foot, but they did have a nice 9-game winning streak snapped. I'll talk about them in a few moments. And you got the Bruins, who made it to the semifinal round last year, who has a good roster. A lot of it's coming back. A lot of their roster is new additional pieces. Maybe the Bruins aren't the closest team to win championship in Boston. Maybe it is the Red Sox, seeing they got the furthest last year. But all I know is the future of the Bruins will be told on or before March 21st when the trade deadline comes and goes. But until then, hopefully the Bruins can snap out of their 3-5-2 in their last 10. They're on a 2-game losing streak right now. Can we go 9-10 or 9 wins in 10 games? Can we go 8-1-1 maybe? That'd be nice. Or you can do a 7-1-2, just trying to get some points even though you're taking a loss. Hockey's about points. I've preached about this several times, and those that know hockey recognize how important points are. If you're going to lose, at least lose in overtime or shootout. So you still get a point out of it. That's going to be it for the Bruins. Let's jump over to the Celtics, where they just lost a terrible game to the Detroit Pistons. They just had a 9-game winning streak where they blew out the 76ers, where they blew out the Nuggets. Actually, they didn't blow out the Nuggets. They blew out the Nets. They blew out the Magic. They blew out the Heat the end of January. But you play the Pistons here at home and you'll lose to them by 1 damn point. Overall, Celtics have jumped to the 6th spot in the Eastern Conference. They only have a half-game lead over Toronto, and they're 2 games behind Milwaukee, Cleveland, and Philadelphia for the 3, 4, and 5 seeds. Celtics are right there. Did I expect them to get back into this spot? No. But I did hope for it. I absolutely hope for it. I believe I stopped talking about the Celtics when they were I think they fell as low as the 11th seed. And I stopped talking about the Celtics. And since then, they've been playing well. But if you've been following me on social media at Murph's Cartown, whether it's on Twitter, on Instagram, wherever, you'll know that I'm not buying into this team. I'm not. They're 20-11 at home, which is fantastic, but they're 14-15 on the road. The trade deadline has come and gone, but they can't win games on the road. There's no way they're going to get additional pieces unless it's through the buyout market, which they could add a player or two, but those players might want to go to the Heat or the 76ers or the Nets or the Lakers or the Warriors or the Suns, the Bucks, because they know they'll have a stronger chance at winning. And the Celtics have a good case to win. Like I said, they're only 2 games behind the defending champions. They're 2 games behind the Cleveland Cavaliers, who are playing exceptionally well basketball right now. And then the 76ers as well. They're 2 games behind them. I want to think that the Celtics can make some noise in the playoffs. But again, I'm not going to buy into it because they are 9-1 in the last 10 games. They just came off a 9-game winning streak. But they lost to the damn Pistons of all teams. Come on. That should be a win right there. You should be able to have beaten the Pistons and carry that win streak to 10 games. Now, if it's just a small little hiccup and they're able to go out and beat the Nets next Thursday when the All-Star break comes and goes, and they got another matchup with the Pistons the 26th, and then the Pacers on the 27th, and then March 1st against the Hawks, if they're able to win 3 or 4 of those games, then okay. Especially that Nets game. That's going to be a big game. Then okay, I can kind of see it being a small little hiccup that didn't really affect them. But in those 4 games after the All-Star break, and they lose 3 or 4 of them, because you lost all your momentum. It's fantastic to have all this momentum going to All-Star break, be 9-1, sit comfortably in the 6th spot, and rest. Obviously, the rest is important, but sometimes where you're as hot as the sun, you don't want a break. You don't want the All-Star break because you want to keep that momentum going and going and going and going. But 2 big takeaways for me going into the All-Star break for the Celtics, and as we exit the All-Star break, obviously on the other side of it, and moving forward, is the Celtics have to win on the road. Because if they're going to be the 6th seed entering the playoffs, hypothetically, let's say, or 7, maybe they get the 8th, who knows, they're going to be on the road. And this team cannot consistently win on the road. At home, they're 20-11. That's fantastic. But 6th seed, you're not going to have home court advantage, so you're going to be playing more games on the road. And I want to see the team win more on the road. And the second point is, stay hot. Don't let this 9-game winning streak cause us to have recency bias and thinking and believing that the Celtics can actually do it this year, right? That they can actually make some noise and get back to the Eastern Conference Finals, or upset the Bucks in the first round, or the Cavs in the first. Actually, seeding wise, it'd be an upset, but like hypothetically speaking, Celtics roster is better than the Cavaliers roster. Let's just all be honest. But that's why I'm not buying into this team, because I've seen it too many times. I've seen it too many times where the Celtics get hot and then they fizzle out and fall short. They did it last year. They did it in the bubble. They did it the year before. They've done it multiple times throughout seasons. They will be mediocre for a huge chunk. They will go on a massive winning streak or a fantastic month, get you all to believe and get you all to buy in. Listen, I am guilty in that party as well. I've bought in to fraud as well with the Celtics, and I refuse to do it right now. I'll buy into the Celtics come the playoffs. How about that? If the Celtics make it to the playoffs and they're, say, the 4th seed, I'll buy in then. Doesn't mean I'm not a Celtics fan for not buying in right now, but I'm just very, very cautious, because the Celtics have fooled us time and time again. But between now and when Season 2 starts on April 1st, we will get a vivid, a clear 4K picture of what the Celtics season is going to look like, what it's going to unfold to, where they're at, and if this 9-game winning streak was fraud or if it was actually legitimate. With that being said, let's transition and jump over to the New England Patriots. And I want to talk about the Patriots, not the Super Bowl. I know we did a ton of Super Bowl chatter. We did a ton of playoff chatter. But I want to talk about the Patriots in particular before we wrap up Season 1 of Murph's Boston Sports Talk. Now, I'm an avid sports radio listener. I love 98.5 The Sports Hub. I love WEEI. I love listening to those guys. I agree with a lot of them, and I disagree with some of them. But Greg Bedard, Michael Hawley, and Mike Felger all went over top 5 needs for the Patriots in the offseason. And I'm going to read all 3 of their top 5s, and then I'm going to break it down and kind of give you my opinion on it. Greg Bedard's top 5. Now, this is an article from NBCSports.com/Boston. And if you want to read the full article, literally just type in Patriots 2022 offseason. And it'll probably be like the first one where it's like top 5 needs. Greg Bedard's top 5. I don't know if it's in order, like 1 to 5, but let's just say it's not. 1, a real offensive coordinator. 2, top man corner. 3, slot receiver. 4, fast linebacker. 5, nose tackle. I guess I'll break this down first before I go into Hawley's and Felger's. A real offensive coordinator. Yes, you absolutely need to bring in a Bill O'Brien. I hate saying it, but Adam Gase still has a good offensive mind, and I think Bill Belichick will kind of be able to reel him in so he's not so terrible like he was with the Dolphins and the Jets. But someone that has experience, knows how to call an offense, whereas Bill Belichick doesn't need to, because right now he's wearing too many hats and he's not delegating. Top man corner, I do believe that's J.C. Jackson. Whether it is bringing J.C. Jackson back, I think having another cornerback with J.C. Jackson is more of a need than just bringing in a top man corner. Obviously, you can franchise J.C. Jackson. You can re-sign him. I strongly recommend that you don't let this guy go because he's all you have. You got Jalen Mills. You got Joejuan Williams. You got Jonathan Jones. He's a slot corner. You need J.C. Jackson. You probably need someone else. Number 3, slot receiver. Yes, Jacoby Myers did very good in the slot, but I'd like to see him kicked out to the outside a little bit. You need a Edelman. You need an Amendola. You need a Welker. Someone that can go in the middle, someone that can run short routes and be a security blanket, or someone that's going to make the tough catches in the middle of the field for Mac Jones. I've said it numerous times on the podcast and here at the shop with people coming in talking about Mac Jones, and I always say this. Mac Jones would have thrived if he had Julian Edelman and James White this year. Obviously, he had James White, and then he got injured, and Edelman retired before the season. But just imagine what the offense... Yeah, I know Edelman's older, and White's starting to get older himself, but they would have been fantastic. Veterans, knowledge of the offense. They'd be security blankets, make tough catches. Exactly what Mac Jones would have needed. Fast linebacker. Yes, we are slow at the linebacker position. We are very, very slow at the linebacker. Dante Hightower, Jawan Bentley. What is Josh Uche going to do? What is Anthony Jennings going to do coming back from injury? What about Chase Winovich? Patriots need a Micah Parsons. You're not going to find those everywhere you go, but you need someone that can give you speed, that can cover. Dante Hightower's a good pass rusher, yes. But you need a Fred Warner type player in the middle of the field who can drop back into zone or cover linebacker, who can cover tight ends and running backs out of the backfield. Right now, they don't have that. And then number 5, a nose tackle. I kind of disagree with that. I think Christian Barmore is the nose tackle you want and you're looking for. He had a fantastic rookie season, and I want to see his growth grow even more. So I think the front 4 is pretty good right now. Obviously, you might be able to tweak a few things, but linebacker and secondary is more of a focal point than me than nose tackle or the front 4 in general. All right, now let's break down Michael Hawley's top 5 Patriots needs for this offseason. Number 1, home run hitter on offense. Completely agree. You need a number 1 wide receiver, whether it's Calvin Ridley or Allen Robinson. I don't know if you're going to be able to draft one, but you need a home run hitter on offense. You absolutely need a number 1 for Mac Jones, so Kendrick Bourne and Jacoby Myers can fizzle out to the 2 and the 3, where they should belong and where they will excel. Whereas Jacoby Myers and Kendrick Bourne are drawing teams' number 1 corners, and they're having poor play because of it. Number 2, home run hitter on defense. Again, you need a fast linebacker in the middle. You need to have J.C. Jackson as your number 1 corner. Bring in a number 2. I think your front 4 is fine for now. But home run hitter on defense, I would like to see come from the linebacking position. Name Mayo, defensive coordinator. Yes, I completely agree. I know Gerard Mayo and Steve Belichick have been kind of splitting defensive coordinator calls, I guess. Just name Mayo the guy. I would really like to see, and I think the team will kind of support that decision. Hire Bill O'Brien or Eric Bieniemy. Bill O'Brien, yes. Eric Bieniemy, no. He's with the Chiefs right now, and I think he's more of a product of Patrick Mahomes, if anything, hence why he has not gotten any head coaching positions. He's gotten a ton of interviews, but he hasn't gotten a head coaching job because I think teams realize that he's a product of Patrick Mahomes. I think I could coordinate the offense for the Chiefs, and I would do pretty good with Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce as my weapons. Bill O'Brien, I completely agree with. I know I mentioned Adam Gase, but I would love to see Bill O'Brien. Number 5, re-sign J.C. Jackson. Absolutely. All right, now let's go to Mike Felger's top 5, and I absolutely love his top 5, or I should say 4. Number 5 is not a good one for me, but here we go. Number 1, slot/quick get-off wide receiver. Again, going back to the slot position that we were talking about, a number 1 receiver is more so what I want to see, but I think a slot receiver would be absolutely beneficial. Doesn't mean your number 1 receiver can't be your slot guy, or doesn't mean a slot can't be your number 1 guy. Look at Welker, look at Edelman. They can perform as your number 1s in the slot. Speed on defense, again, I'd love to see that come from the linebacking position. Your secondary needs to get revamped. Is Devin McCourty going to be back next year? Who knows? He's slowed down. A number 2 corner that can really keep up with the Tyreek Hills of the world and all these other receivers that are very fast in their own right. Number 3, offensive coordinator / quarterback coach, Bill O'Brien, Adam Gase, give me someone with experience and don't just promote someone from within, because if you do that, there's going to be more on Bill Belichick's shoulders and he's going to have to wear too many hats, and I think the team will be very deficient in that way. So bring someone who can take that role, whether it's Charlie Weiss when he was here, Josh McDaniels when he was here, Bill O'Brien, and when Josh McDaniels came back. Those guys were the OC quarterback coach. Bring in someone with experience to do that. Number 4, cornerback. I've already mentioned it. Re-sign J.C. Jackson. Bring in a number 2 cornerback because I do believe Jackson can be your number 1. You cannot let him go. You absolutely cannot let him go, because if you let him go, you're going to have absolutely nothing, and your secondary is going to suck. Number 5, this is the one I disagree with, a quarterback. I don't think we need a quarterback. You obviously have Mac Jones. There's rumors and murmurs where the Patriots could trade Mac Jones and some draft picks for Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. And if you would do that or not, me personally, I don't think I would. I really don't. If it's Russell Wilson, maybe. But it just depends on what the package. You already used a first-round pick on Mac Jones. How many other first-round picks are you going to have to give up? What else are you going to have to give up? Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers are going to be $30, $40 million on your salary cap. Plus, they're older. Aaron Rodgers, 38. Yes, he just won MVP back-to-back years, so he's still at the top of his game. Russell Wilson's 32 or entering his age 32, 33 season, so he's getting older. But obviously, he's a little bit younger than Aaron Rodgers. I just think Mac Jones is the guy. He fits your offense the best. Not that Rodgers or Wilson wouldn't, but I just don't think you have the ammo to go out and get one of those guys, hence why I don't want to bring in anybody else unless it's a backup. But I think Brian Hoyer's a very good veteran leader, backup, mentor for Mac Jones. And those are Felger's, Hawley's, and Greg Bedard's top 5 needs for the Patriots. To recap that, to give you my top 5 needs, where I agreed and disagreed with some of theirs, in no order, I have number 1 receiver, a coverage linebacker, and with coverage, I mean speed. So we have a number 1 receiver, coverage / fast linebacker. You need a second corner. You need an offensive coordinator. And you need to re-sign J.C. Jackson. I don't care what order that goes in. Those are my 5 needs that I need the Patriots to do, that I want them to do in order to help set them up for success in 2022. But guys, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, whoever's listening, wherever they're listening, that is going to do it for today's episode. I really appreciate you downloading, listening, and enjoying. Please, please, please reach out to me via social media at Murph's Cardtown with any thoughts, questions, comments, concerns, anything you want to talk about, anything you want to debate, argue, discuss, or simply just talk sports. Reach out to me via social media at Murph's Cardtown, And if you're listening to this on YouTube, please leave those comments down in the comment section below. Also, like the video if you enjoyed it, and please consider hitting that giant red subscribe button, as I would greatly appreciate the love and support. But that is going to do it for today's episode number 131 of Murph's Boston Sports Talk. That is going to conclude season 1 of the podcast, and I'm bittersweet. You know, I love doing this podcast. It's been a part of me for 13 months now. It was the stepping stone of this whole brand, this whole company, this whole vision that I have, being Murph's Cardtown and Sports Shop. But Murph's Boston Sports Talk, January 2021, was the foundational piece that blossomed everything into what it is today. And I'm not saying goodbye. I guess I'm saying until next time. I don't want to go. I don't want to end the recording. It's because once I end this recording, I'm not going to do another one until April 1st. And just to reiterate, April 1st, I'm not joking around. It's an actual serious thing. It just happens to be a Friday, is when season 2 will start with episode number 132. I'm just going to roll right over into season 2, carrying over the episode numbers. And I wanted to do Friday, the first Friday in April, that just so happens to be April Fool's Day, because I'll be able to talk and kind of catch back up on Friday and then roll into Monday, revisiting conversations, talking about stuff over the weekend, whatever it may be. So I'm really excited for that. And like I said, I'm going to be active on social media with news that breaks, whether it's for the Patriots, Bruins, Celtics, Red Sox, or baseball. I'll still be very active on social media, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. So definitely make sure you're following me on all platforms at Murph's Cardtown. And also subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already, if you're listening on audio-only platforms. Subscribe to the YouTube channel because there's going to be a ton of content that I will still be releasing on YouTube, whether it's MLB Lockout updates or pack openings or doing top 5 videos of this and that. There's a lot of stuff on the YouTube channel to help bridge the gap between today being the last episode of season 1 and April 1st, the first episode of season 2. So this isn't goodbye. This is till next time. It's bittersweet. I don't want to stop recording. It's really bittersweet to put a pause on something that has been a part of my daily life for 13 months. So I apologize for dragging this out. I'm not trying to on purpose. It's tough. It's a little tough. And yeah, I could keep going and going and going, but I just want to take a small break and just recharge the battery real quick. That's all I want to do. So I guess I got to end this at some point, right? I don't want to keep you guys any longer than you've already listened to, as we're just about 42 minutes in. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for downloading, listening, enjoying episode number 131 of Murph's Boston Sports Talk. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please make sure to follow me on social media at Murph's Cardtown if you haven't already. Again, thank you so much for downloading, listening, enjoying on all audio-only platforms where you can find the podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, Stitcher. Wherever you listen to your podcast, you can find Murph's Boston Sports Talk, and you can also find the podcast on YouTube at Murph's Cardtown and Sports Shop. That is the YouTube channel. And for those listening on YouTube, I really appreciate you liking the video, commenting down below, and hitting that giant red subscribe button, as I greatly appreciate the love and support. But that is going to do it for this one. I will catch you in the next one for season 2 on April 1st for episode number 132. But between now and then, you guys know that I love you, and I will always, always, always see you.